Thank you again for coming to this panel. Actually, when I got a chance to put together a panel in this specific track, I was thinking like, we should talk about XR, different kind of reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, all those kind of things. So, and we have been talking about the creator economy. So I was surprised that nobody created a term called like a reality creator or reality creator economy. Why I came up with this topic for this panel, and we will be addressing that with by distinguished panelists. So I will let them introduce themselves, starting from Chris.
Hi, thank you, you. I'm Chris Pfaff. I run the company Chris Pfaff Tech Media LLC. I've been in this broad XR space for 35 years. I served for 5 years on the board of directors of the Producers Guild, and I'm currently the co-chairman of the Storytelling Committee of the VR AR Association. That's Michael Owen, who's my co-chair walking in right now. And we work with a lot of key companies in the space, like Felix and Paul Studios, Verizon, and we have some clients here, including 4D Views, Xcurio, and others. We mostly work with people who have enabling platforms and also producers of XR content. So like that. Judy?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Julie Smithson, and I've been in the industry for about almost 15 years. I started a company called MetaVRSE and started building and learning everything about this technology. My bigger mission is to inspire and educate the next generation of future leaders, and I'm also the co-founder of XR Women, the world's largest group of women building immersive experiences, and I'm proud to be here. Thank you.
The Holly Immersive Awards, which Julie and I were working on for 5 years. I'm also the president of the Academy of Immersive Arts and Sciences, and I serve on the board of the Metaverse Standards Review.
Thank you. So I think probably most of you are interested in one single question: how to make money, especially XR.
Oh, that's an easy question.
Okay, let's start with Chris. How are creators making money in XR?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, obviously advertising, you've got everyone from like Anzu doing in-game indie. There's another really interesting AR creator campaign. I would say that the company that has branded the second floor of this edifice, some little company a few miles from here called Snap, they have their Lens Fund and their Creator Fund. So they've thrown some good money at the space, but they're getting really, really cool people like Andy Bratt, if anyone knows him from Mousepack, the Inri Studios. So there are some really, really innovative creators on the Snap spectacle side, people creating lenses. Meta has also, created, I'm sure you read about their fund, their $50 million fund. For those who don't know, if you're in the corporate VC world, forever and a day for like 30 years, 50 million has been a sweet number. It still is. So, but they are rewarding people who are creating. So I would say that working with the platforms is a good way, but also bubbling up independently. And obviously, in the Snap side, yes, they are sharing ad revenue with their creators. So that's a really, really a good way to make money in the creator space. And yes, there are YouTube creators. So, Navi and others who have been doing this in the space who are getting the attention. And, also there are people who are building experiential campaigns with creators like Nexus Studios. They're in London, they're here in LA. They've got some really amazing stuff that they've done. And I think some of their people are actually here at the show. So there are people who are making money out of this, and it's not just from the big companies that I mentioned, but that's the short answer to the question.
Okay.
Sure. I think so. First of all, times have changed a lot, and we're heading into this time of the gig economy. Freelancing is dominating right now, and encouraging people to have that curiosity about themselves, to find their special skill sets, to make a living out of what they love to do. And that, to me, is the economy that we're moving towards. And it's kind of refreshing, right? It's something that we haven't had before because we've always been following somebody else's lead. And I think the shift is happening. The creator tools are changing. AI is changing everything that we know about how we did things yesterday. So it's up to all of us about to to create our own path and then figure out how to make money from it. So it's definitely changing into this entrepreneurship, gig economy, freelance world where we leverage what we love to do.
Sure. Well, one of the common threads of my work is the agency of the creator. So I really think that the ethical dimensions of how creators are treated and the equity that they get in their work is extremely important, and that takes many forms. The I'm a big believer in open standards, so that uh, when developers create something, they don't have to put in a lot of extra work to port it to the platforms all the time. Open source is a little different because it's great to have free software, but there's nothing wrong with charging for software. But I think it's very important that they have, low level access to be able to have the flexibility to do that. And so when I hear the word creator economy, I sort of sometimes hear a double entendre in there where it's like in the Twilight Zone episode, the To Serve Man turns out to be a cookbook. I want to make sure that the ethical dimensions are considered so that creators prevail and it doesn't become an exploitation economy.
Thank you. So actually, I wanted to have a little bit deeper dive question. So I'm thinking like with the rise of AI, there are several changes. One thing is that for example, we are not only doing things by ourselves. We use AI, as AI agents, AI models, whatever you call that. So if we look at the new creator economy, like you are probably not directly creating the content, but you are just providing an AI agent or providing AI tool for others to use. But I think you still deserve a share or part by new economy. That one
So
thing.
you mean if your agent gets ahead of you and then makes you like an NPC, like a non-entity, you have to fight back and get another agent who's actually an agent at like CAA or UTA, fight them to and sue them with Justin Baldoni or something like that. I think that's going to happen very soon. So but I mean, I'm only half joking when I say that. I think that when we see Gen AI in Roblox Studio, it's taken off to a point where you don't need even a large language model. You get a small language model, but the automation of that Gen AI is fantastic in the sense that what people were doing with Creator Studios, say 10 or 15 years ago, now they can do with far fewer people and crank out stuff, and certainly porting to whether it's a headset or more likely some sort of mobile experience or a hybrid experience. I think that that's where things come in, and I think where the dollars shift from, yes, even traditional television. Fremantle is finally got figured out how to monetize more of their library content of game shows. I think you're going to see more of that happening, but it'll be, back to Julie's point and obviously Ben's point as well, a situation where you, the creator, or you, the team of creators, would be much more invested in your own stake and can build your agents in a way that helps you monetize and take greater share, not just giving away 30% to the iOS App Store or something like that.
So I was imagine that in maybe a couple of years, the economy would be like we are talking about with some super large virtual worlds, for example, not just like one person, one team doing that. Maybe you will be thousands of developers, thousands of teams working together to create a super virtual world. Then the monetization or the commercialization of that virtual world should be shared, the revenue sharing model with all the developers, all the right. And those developers, some of them are not like some AI agents hired. So I think that would be probably uh upcoming model.
Well, I was in the speaker lounge about 20 minutes ago, and the fellow was chatting and saying, well, one of my developers called in sick and said, the doctor says you can't work this week, so I'm going to have to pull a night shift. And I'm thinking, boy, baby, if you had a really good agent, would you have to deal with that sick schmuck? No, so there's another way to make money by saving money, but that's just a reality. But I think, Ben points out the ethics of this, which is I think that the hardest thing, because we're in a town that was just only been decimated by 2 strikes 2 years ago, and now is to the very real existential impact of Gen AI. And studios like Lionsgate, AMC just cut a deal with Runway last week. Lionsgate playing with it. So they're doing the work to monetize, but the issue is how much technological employment are we going to suffer with creators who are really on the beach. And I think that's we have to start with the efforts and the companies, which obviously you've been working on heavily.
I think this topic is also related to, as you really wanted to talk about collaborative ecosystem. Products. Imagine, like I said, thousands or even tens of thousands of artists working together to do a revenue sharing model on top of like virtual world. Definitely, we need some infrastructure to support that. Okay. Like transactions. Okay. Yeah. And the reason
Yeah, the tokenomics around the future of how creators are going to exchange their ideas and collaborate with others. This is where there's a difference between blockchain and crypto. So there needs to separate those thoughts. So
Blockchain good, crypto weird. Sorry.
there you go.
Okay,
There you
we're all
go.
adults.
But the blockchain technology is something that's decentralized and it can be transparent in its transaction. And I think we're going to be moving towards this reward-based economy where you do something and you get a token back, and you start to circulate that within the ecosystem that you work within it. And it's just starting to evolve, but in introducing the Web3 applications into our ecosystem, bringing AI, blockchain, and 3D together, that's the Web3 formula. That's the convergence. Blockchain will validate that AI. Blockchain will validate that work that creator did. And need trust right now. That's something that we're lacking in this whole ecosystem, because AI is going off on this way, and systems are changing that way. Companies are doing things this way and getting rid of employees. So employees are starting to be their own creator, be their own employee. And the tokenization part lends itself to that validation of transaction. And we need to have that for the pure transactional purpose of understanding what we're buying and we're trading.
well, I think you wanted to talk about like cutting out the middleman. Also,
Well, there's cutting out the middleman, but there's also the way that licensing is set up is something that where if the license becomes the middleman, then that's sort of it's called rent seeking when there's no value exchange going on and you're paying a toll to be able to do something. And so I think it's really essential that uh, when creators are approaching using a new tool, they look at terms and conditions of it and really understand it. I'm not going to say which company, but recently I had a sort of a shocking moment when I had ChatGPT read the licensing on terms and conditions. So, for creators in the room, when you're going to try out a new tool, put terms and conditions into ChatGPT and ask them about the licensing and see what comes back, because the rights to your work may not actually be there. And what is even more shocking is if the tool that you use takes an unlimited license to be able to uh, relicense that work and even transfer that license to maybe a parent company, or if the parent company sells to another company, then if they have a license to your work, then you're not getting paid for it. And then the work that you've done goes out there in the universe and you have no control or say over it. So it's really essential to understand the structures that govern the tools that you use.
I think talking about the licensing, I actually feel like if we talk about IP, especially the entire licensing economy or industry, I think it's sort of like a pre e-commerce stage. Like everything else has been so advanced with automation, with digital transformation, those kind of things. But when we are talking about the licensing, it's still like a very labor intensive. I mean, lawyers
That's
labor
why you have
intensive.
attorneys, and that's why you have courts, and those things can drag on. But I think that Julie, in talking about the blockchain verification, and what Ben is saying about, but really getting down into the nub of how we use these tools. I think that we're at that moment, literally, like even today, where if we don't get a handle on this, we will have, runaway theft. We will not be able. We'll have a rising generation that does not know the value of IP, even of what it's creating, which is sad and perhaps inevitable if we don't put up those guardrails. But I think the other side of getting back to licensing is the fact that you have major IP holders who are finally realizing what they can do in multiple platforms is a good thing. And it means that the rising creator generation is really just everybody in this room and their family, for God's sakes. It's like, how do you build that? Because these are issues for trusts and estates. These are issues for all kinds of people who have stuff that people want to rip off, frankly. And I think that with the e-commerce side, what you're talking about, I think licensing, merchandising, all these other great things that make more money than the actual film, let's say, or a video game, or whatever virtual, palimpsest of that. I think that's where we have to really start fighting. And I think it does take nations to build this. It's not just a village. I think that we need to update our copyright law. We need better protections. And we've been talking about this for decades, but the fact that, all the work, particularly that you've done, you and Ben, on this, is building from, the inside out, that what we teach, and there are a lot of students who are at this session, and they're brilliant, and, they're having to learn these practices long before some of the people who have been creating for years. So that's it does take that community.
Julie, I think you are also an expert of like a DAO-driven IPs, which is also relevant to this. You want to add something?
I would use not use the word expert, but I think, an expert in community. And that's what it takes right now. And just lending to what Chris just said, we need the community to come together to figure out what this IP looks like, and what the rules look like on copyright. I feel like the whole copyright laws have just been thrown out right now because AI is throwing everything off in how we create things and how we build things, how we license things. So having community come together, and this is where DAOs are built, and we find our people. We find the people who believe in the same things as we do. Obviously, it takes...
Say the acronym for the three people who don't know.
DAO?
Yeah.
Decentralized...
Autonomous
organization. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Forgot about the acronyms. Yes. Thank you. But yeah, it's an interesting time because, drawing back to the entrepreneurship economy right now, and, we don't want people to be siloed in what they're doing. We need to come together as community to figure these solutions out. And there's a lot of problems to solve right now. So coming together into these DAOs and figuring out how to monetize in what you're doing. What are the laws around how things are being executed? And that is the biggest thing that we can all do together.
Okay, so I want to address a little bit more about the ethical dimensions. When we are talking about the XR and the AI economy, creator economy, I think, of course, the productivity of a single creator or developer, whatever we call that, will be significantly increased with AI. And many people from Silicon Valley are already predicting there will be so-called one-person unicorn, maybe starting in 2026. So, but the question is so who will be the consumers? Who will be, if we take away job from people, then who will have the ability to purchase those kind of digital goods or those kind of things? And so I have been thinking about one possibility. Maybe we need to redefine what is work. So, for example, your participation in a virtual world would be considered as a contribution because your participation as a human player will be more or less helpful to improve other guys' experience in that virtual world. That is just one example, but I think that maybe Ben, you have more thoughts on this.
Well, there are two dimensions to AI usage that we've touched on a little bit here, but recently I saw an interview with James Cameron, and he said something that I had been thinking all along in terms of the way that people talk about training models with copyrighted content. So on one hand, we as human beings, when we consume information, when we appreciate art, when we watch movies, when we draw inspiration from things and create something new, that's very similar to what LLMs are doing, where they're consuming all of this there. But also when you get food, you like to know what ingredients are in the food. So there is something to being able to track what an LLM is giving you back when you're creating something with it. And the other part of it is when you are using an AI tool and the effect that it's having on the economy, where it may disenfranchise some who don't have access to it, and that's something that we need to fix. But more importantly, these new tools are things that are giving us superpowers, and we need to learn how to use them and leverage them, and that will create a new economy. So yes, people are losing jobs to it, but the overall graph of productivity is increasing because we're getting more done faster with higher quality. And I'll end with one of the things that I've personally noticed by using AI tools, prompting text, creating images, playing around with video, is that it'll get you 90% of the way there almost instantaneously. And then it will torture you for hours to get a result that you can actually use. So there's a sort of give and take there and a balance. And a lot of this is because these are very new tools. But it's something that we need to sort of bear in mind, is that there's a balance to arriving at the creation that we envision.
Thank you. I think we have like 2 minutes or so. So I'll give my panelists each one last point you want to make about creator economy or reality creator economy.
I think I want to come back to AI for those of us who, how many saw Ori Inbar's amazing keynote this morning? Okay, you saw the slide that AI loves XR. I think that there will be more opportunities for what we call XR today to change the way people create and consume, whether it's projectable holograms or it's other experiences that maybe have lighter glasses, whatever the display conduit is. But I think that the idea is that we would be able to consume, distribute content in new ways, and that creates a new revenue stream. And obviously the productivity side, I think is fairly undeniable, but back to Ben's point, you need a level of expertise as well. So I think that AI can help, but we're going to have humans who are even smarter about using all sorts of tools. 20 years ago it was, hey, how you doing with Adobe Premiere or Avid or whatever else, and now that seems rather quaint, but maybe not so quaint. But it's still about how storytellers are going to use these tools and how they're going to actually build those worlds and figure out where the audiences are. Because that's the other issue here too. It's like, are the audiences that are playing around on social media for the last 20 years going to be the same? Who knows? So I think that it's still the same thing. People have been predicting the death of the film industry since about 1917, and this may be the summer that Tom Cruise actually killed it. Just kidding. But I think that AI, will help us get to what that next sort of creator economy is.
Yeah, and I just saying that, we're going to have a lot of job loss, but you're not going to lose a job to AI. You're going to lose a job to somebody who's using AI. So embrace AI into your world because it's here. The tools are easy enough to use to start to get kicked off, but it's undeniable now that it's going to be part of our ecosystem. And working with an agent or a virtual assistant or a virtual tutor You know, these are all brand new roles that we have to embrace into this ecosystem. And as creators, it kind of makes the, you know, the creator canvas endless. And it's a pretty exciting time.
I'll say amen to that, and the hourglass is out of sand, so I'll yield back my time.
Screw
and
that
Thank
clock.
you all very much.
Okay. So thank you so much. Lastly, one more thing. So my organization, MASA, we are proudly sponsoring the next stage right in the middle of the exhibit hall. So just please take a look. It's the only stage in the exhibit hall. Thank you.